Sega Sanchiro, Sega Sanchiro, Sega Saturn Shiro. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Sega Saturn, baby. Well, not the Sega Saturn itself because its games are pricey and I kinda suck at pirating, but more so games influenced clearly by the Sega Saturn aesthetics. Well, the Sega Saturn was really trying to be the PlayStation in the West, hence why they launched before the PlayStation, and most of the games published here are in 3D. Meanwhile, in Japan, they mostly got 2D games, mostly. The 2D was sharp, crisp, and clear, hence why there are games with Saturn energy that are pretty much in 2D. But surprisingly, not all of them are from Sega, so yeah, let the madness begin. Edit! Yo, it's Sega Saturn, Sega Saturn, Sega Saturn, Sega Saturn, yo, it's Sega Saturn, Sega Saturn, Sega Saturn, yo! We're first going to talk about the 2D games, but then we'll move on to the 3D one. Mega Man 8 and X4 looked like they were tailor-made for the Sega Saturn, with their Krispy Kreme visuals, as well as their voice acting and their anime scenes. But the Saturn flopped, so maybe they never do this again. Ooh, what's this? The crisp Sega Saturn visuals are now on Nintendo DS and it's glorious. Mega Man ZX surpassed all my expectations in terms of crunchiness. It even has some anime cutscenes, voiced in Japanese, but what you see is what you get! But yeah, while I particularly enjoyed the Zero games, at least the two I played, ZX is probably my favorite Mega Man game of all time. Seriously, just get a walkthrough though. Speaking of the Nintendo DS, have you ever played Guardian Heroes and thought, this is probably the greatest game of all time? If so, I would maybe suggest Code of Princess, but if you don't want to grind or anything, Treasure made a bunch of Bleach games for the Nintendo DS, baby! Yes, this one is published by Sega, but shh. So this is a big fighting game using the Guardian Heroes aesthetics with a very big and complex story mode. But it also has the weird death thing that was in Guardian Heroes that made it so memorable. And the best part is that there's two of them. Bleach Blade of Fate and Bleach Dark Souls? I did not know this was a Dark Souls game. Either way, the thing about the third one is that it's a tactical RPG. So, never mind, I rewatched some gameplay and yep, it has that Saturn energy and 2D-ness to it. I don't know if I would recommend it, but Hey, have you ever played Grandia? It's a bunch of 2D visuals in a 3D world, which is very interesting to look at and downright gorgeous. That does remind me of a DS RPG called Glory of Heracles. It's a bit of a simple but fun RPG with an interesting story, surprisingly. Yes, there is an amnesia plot point, but the locations have that 2D, 3D-ness, and there are some twists at the end that should not be spoiled. Plus, I bought it $10, so that's always a good thing. Nowadays, it's more $10, $20, which is also fine. Magic Knight Ray Earth is an anime as well as a game. Let's see how much it goes. Ow! Ow! Thanks, capitalism. Well, if you want something as cutesy and with kind of voice acting, there you go, Summon Night for Nintendo DS. It is cutesy, it has character portraits, and that's pretty much it. Same kind of 2D aesthetics as the Sega Saturn, but you don't control three girls at the same time, so well, at least we got Sonic Heroes. Sonic Heroes, Sonic Heroes. Also, I talked about Bleach earlier, but now there's a timeless classic with Sega Saturn aesthetics that I want to show you. Luminous Arc is exactly what you expect in a strategy RPG. Anime character designs, voice acting, and a lot of depth. If you want more tactical RPG-ness for your Nintendo DS, well, there you go. Before we leave the 2D sphere, there is a single game that made me want to do this video. Seriously, I did not expect it to go all out. Hey guys, imagine Danny Phantom on the Nintendo DS. Huh? Actually, this ain't Danny Phantom. It's Danny Phantom and friends. I don't know why I mentioned Danny Phantom when there is XJ9 in this game. It's probably because his theme is probably one of my favorite songs in the game. But if you like beat 'em ups on Sega Saturn, you'll probably have a blast with this game. Yes, there are touchscreen activities, but... Also, surprisingly, this one is developed by Natsume, who made the Harvest Moon games, which is why it has the Japanese flavor all over it. The only American thing about this game is the script, and even then it's not really that much of a script. I could probably write a better script.
Cosmo? Wanda? I wish I was in the game.
You got it, Timmy.
What, Cosmo? He already has been in a game.
Another thing to note are the 2D characters and the 3D backgrounds, which reminds me of Clockwork Knight or even Space Jam on Sega Saturn? Either way, this game is hard. Like super hard. Radiant Silvergun might be hard, but this game is also hard. The game also has no guard button, so good luck. Now we're gonna talk about the mostly 3D games. Yeah, there were some shining games on the Sega Saturn with the weird CGs. But Golden Sun on the Nintendo DS does not contain any weird CG. Oh, never mind, it's on the Game Boy Advance one. Surprisingly, the Game Boy Advance game is the one with the weird CG, which I think is a very good thing, as it keeps the Saturn spirit alive, and these old JRPGs aesthetics are just mwah. But the best part is that both Mario Golf and Mario Tennis use this aesthetic, at least on the GBA. So I guess we technically got a Mario game on Sega Saturn. Okay, so now we move on from the 2D to the 3D realm. The thing about the Sega Saturn is that it didn't have as many 3D platformers as the PlayStation and the Nintendo 64, so the only Saturn-esque platformers are Sonic Jam and Ninpen Jam Jamaru, I think. Balan Wonderworld feels like a very big Saturn title with a lot of ambition and only one button, and some very empty spaces. 3D platformers back on the Saturn PS1 used to be all usually in the sky, mostly with limited skyboxes and very surreal. So that's why I want to talk about Rodea the Sky Soldier. Rodea was very interesting game that kinda used the Wiimote as a pointer, and the whole limited skyboxes was here too. So this one is a very surrealist platformer with a story that has many character portraits. You get a big Saturn vibe from playing this. It's sort of like a more elaborated version of Nights into Dreams, which is a very nice thing. While I enjoyed both the Wii and the Wii U version, I definitely prefer the Wii one, mostly because of its faster arcadey pace. Also, Rodea uses a gun, just like Shadow the Hedgehog. Speaking of Lunistice is a very Sega Saturn-like platformer with a lot of skyboxes and action. Yes, there is a lot of writing for a potentially interesting apocalyptical scenario. I had a blast with Lunistice, and there is apparently an update. We'll see how that goes, because I had a few problems with the story that I don't want to spoil. Willy Wombat was a platformer for the Sega Saturn that just looked like this, and I'm like, yeah, that reminds me of something. The weird sprites, the controllable camera, the isometric angles that you can change. Oh, it's still Princess for the Nintendo DS. I don't know why these two games look like each other, but I guess that counts? Either way, have you ever played Virtua Fighter? I mean, the game is fine, but have you played Naruto Virtua Fighter? Naruto Ninja Destiny lasts like 45 minutes, and it's really bare bones. But the sequel apparently has a lot more to offer.
Believe it!
It's one of the very few 3D fighters on the system, so that's pretty interesting. But not as interesting as the next 3D fighter that has big Saturn energy. But first, have you ever played Virtua-On without twin stick controls? Well, it's a fun robot fighting game that predates Custom Robo, and I don't know, it just has this vibe. Yes, there is little battler experience that kinda replicates this vibe, but also has Custom Robo customization. But there's one $5 DS game that has that vibe. A game that might possibly be in the thumbnail, but I'm not sure. I'll decide on the thumbnail later. Bakugan, Defenders of the Core. Wait. What do you mean this game shouldn't exist? Every game deserves to exist, even New Super Mario Bros. 2. Okay, maybe this one because... Either way, Virtua-On Bakugan Edition is a sweet game. It has the exploratory segments of Custom Robo and the Virtua-On fights with Bakugans instead of robots. Which, you know, I don't mind. If anything, for $5, I had a lot of fun with this one. You see, the thing is that I thought this was a sequel to Bakugan Battle Brawlers, so I played Bakugan Battle Brawlers instead, but then got to the big difficulty spike and now I'd stopped playing. But no, it's apparently its own standalone game. I probably blame executives for this, but whatever. Either way, this one has the large scale and the ideas and the buildings and even the cutesy looking. Either way, this game was a blast and I'd recommend it for like $5. And that's kinda it. This is probably the longest video I've had in a while, and probably it won't be as successful as the others, and it will be a nightmare to edit, but whatever, let's see about that. Leave a like and subscribe and blah blah blah. I had a lot of fun doing this. Bye.